Conservation Commission meeting for January 5th, 25th, and first on the agenda is the veterinary neurology
No, this one.
proposal
You want me to read it?
and
Is it
the
a North Street?
the notice from the paper in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice is hereby given of the intent of John and Ellen Serhant, 410 North Street, Walpole, to construct an addition to the existing deck and install a guardrail along an existing driveway. Plans for this request for determination of applicability are on the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing on the above matter will be held in person on January 25th, 2023, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested persons are requested to be present. Chairman John Wiley. Board of Health will not provide comments prior to January 21st, 25th. Therefore, the Health Department would like to provide internal comments based on the Board of Health's standard motion. The Health Department is not in favor of construction in wetlands and urges owners to adopt a standard best practice for mosquito mitigation and to work with Norfolk County Mosquito Control for spraying and standard water treatments.
I think that's it. That's the only comment.
That's the only
Yeah.
comment, okay. Representing the applicant,
My name is Bob Mangiarotti. I'm a retired lawyer from Attleboro, and I've come out of retirement to help my daughter with the RDA. Ellen and Jack Serhant live at 410 North Street, and they have an existing deck on the back of the house, and they want to relocate the back door. So they need to put a little extension on the back deck. Also, their driveway, as you're looking in at the driveway from the street, on the right-hand side is a steep retaining wall. On the left-hand side, there's a slope of gravel, maybe 3.5, 4 feet wide, and then beyond that is the wetland. And what's happened with respect to the driveway is because of the retaining wall and then the unguarded ditch for the lowlands, it's been very difficult for cars to back up, especially at night, and it's a safety concern for them, for their drivers, actually for their children as well, to keep everybody out of the wetland. So we are proposing a guardrail that would be made out of wood. I reported to the commission in correspondence that when I checked with guardrail people, they told me that only pressure-treated wood is available for guardrails. You can't find cedar to build a guard, but they claim that the guardrails now are environmentally friendly. And as for the deck, I sent also a more detailed plan, which I hope you have in your file. The little extension is 7.5 feet out from the house and 13 feet long, and that will facilitate a new back door because they're remodeling their kitchen and dining room. I am available to answer any questions. It is in a buffer zone, but I think these activities are exempt from regulation because it's a deck and it's a fence. Can I tell you anything else?
So just
Landis?
Just to clarify, so I handed the commissioners one of your plans that you had drawn out. So the guardrail is along the driveway where the wetlands are, And then the deck is the smaller red box?
Yes, the deck is
And the-
up against the house.
The bigger red box is, you're not proposing anything there, right? Is that-
No, strike that. Let me, as your conservation agent might know, I did this in a rush.
That's okay. Yeah, because your determination was just for the extended deck.
Yeah, let me just show what I have, a little more precisely, if I may. May I step forward?
That'd be helpful. And again, this is a request for determination of applicability.
The existing deck has been there. It was constructed within the last
So
couple...
you can
oh,
show them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
The existing deck was constructed within the last couple of years, and there was already a conservation permit for that. And they want, this little red area that I show on this plan is where the extension is to accommodate a new back door. This is a little closer to scale.
See,
Yeah, the big thing here is the existing deck.
Yep. Right.
And that's the new deck, and now it's
Okay.
here like that.
gotcha.
I understand.
Yeah, sir, you're up. Yeah, it's a small part, and it's actually, this is closer to scale.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Thank you.
So as I've noted in my report, the guardrail or fence is, under the Wetlands Protection Act is, allowable, as long as it's not in the wetlands. This is along the driveway, it's right at the edge of the wetlands. And the deck is just a small extension, so I recommend a -3.
Only question I have is there going to be any excavation for this deck other than post holes?
No, there's only one post hole, because it's gonna attach to the house, it's gonna attach to the existing deck, and then there's gonna be one column at a corner.
Okay. Dean?
No questions?
No questions.
No questions.
The triangles on your drawing, EW, are those wetland, what are those, wetland flags?
I believe they are. This was done in connection with a proposed addition that was never built. So I was not privy to it, but I think those are wetland flags.
It's a very tight lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't build it. The house was
Right.
built when my daughter was
Oh, I
in
see. It
junior
goes
high
around.
school.
Yeah.
There are no, there's no bounds, there's no plaques or anything
It
along
looks
that?
like there might be. What's sign and sign?
Yeah,
Are sign and sign wetland plaques?
and the
You
top,
see those? The
Right.
little triangle and the
sign,
circle?
sign,
I
there's
see
two of them.
Well, I think there was an application put before the Conservation Commission for an addition, but they never did it.
Oh, okay.
But I'd like to know if there are plaques now.
I don't believe so, no.
No, if I may?
Yep.
There are no signs now. As someone just mentioned, there was a proposal where this plan was drawn for, to add 8 feet to the entire house.
Right.
And that was withdrawn.
Okay. I'd like to see plaques along at least a couple in the perimeters, but that's my suggestion. That's all I've got.
I don't have any comments. Thanks.
I'll accept the proposal for close the hearing.
Move that. Move that.
Second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have any conditions to add?
I just suggested that the, I guess I didn't suggest anything. No, I think it's pretty minor work. I see Emilio's point about plaques. I'm always kind of hesitant putting plaques in people's yards, but, it's up to you guys. They could maybe put some signs on the guardrail.
I think signs on the, a sign on the guardrail might make sense, But I agree, in a really small yard, when they didn't do the big addition, that I guess had been planned originally, that it might not be necessary.
You wouldn't put one in the corner? Up, you know what I mean? Up here, maybe? I don't know.
I don't know, what do you think, Landis?
I'm gonna leave that up to the commissioners to decide.
To me, the guardrail's right along the fence, that's where maybe some future owner starts to dump leaves over the edge. You're
Right.
like,
You
oh,
could
there's a
put
guardrail,
One at the end of the guardrail and one at the beginning of the guardrail.
maybe, yeah.
Okay.
So the plaques, and I can send you the dimension, it's just like a 3x5 environmental plastic that usually they put on a granite or a concrete post, but they could just adhese them right onto the guardrail. It basically says, no alteration beyond this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable.
It's just a note to not go any further.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine, of course. I mean, because I go there, I can tell you that it's pretty obvious that it's wetlands.
It is, but sometimes people
No,
throw
I don't mind
yard
going.
waste
Leaves
or-
into wetlands.
No, I totally agree.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll add 2 plaques to the determination. Okay. Got it?
Motion to accept the condition.
I'll move that,
Second.
So it's
All
a
in favor?
-3 with conditions?
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.
You're all set.
Just can tell where to get the plaques. My name is John Watson.
Take too long, John.
They have no place to plow the snow
What? Oh, we have to bring it up.
Oh, is that right?
from the description he gave. All they right now, they just plow it down into the wetlands. They put up the guardrail.
Al, can I read the ad?
Challenged.
Yeah, sure you can.
What else can we do? Anything
And, Sorry?
under 5 minutes?
Master plan update, not very much.
Thank you.
I think they're waiting next couple of weeks, looking to schedule the meeting.
Thanks, Dean.
I need a pen that works.
This is-
That's a pencil. Yeah.
Thank you for your insightful comments.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's see, we've got a couple of minutes.
Yep.
Stephanie just said.
Did you get this?
Nope.
No.
What would you like? Extension?
So,
You can issue a request for an extension by 255 Bullard Street, DP 315971. This is an ongoing house project that's almost finished, but apparently not quite. Extend it for 12 months.
Motion?
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I know.
So Dean just gave a brief update on the master plan update, but there is no update.
The update is there is no update.
Wow.
But it's moving forward. Pinnacle Trail, there is no update. That's the update. Willet Pond Access Gift. I think we got one recent gift. And the North Street parcel capital budget item. I need to grab engineering and have them put together a plan for us, if possible, or have someone else put together a plan. But I haven't had a chance to do that yet, and I've been busy with other things, so that's waiting in the wings. 7:15.
I got the ad.
Okay,
Conservation Commission land disturbance permit. This is a continuance. In accordance with the Walpole Stormwater and Erosion Control Bylaw and regulations, notice is hereby given of the intent of John Glosser, Glosser Engineering, Inc., on behalf of Stephanie Koob,
Juby and Poopy.
Kubi, Random LLC, to file a land disturbance application for construction of a 17,700 square foot single-story addition to an existing building and associated parking stalls located at 2250 Boston Providence Highway, Walpole, Mass. Plans are on file at the Conservation Commission. The public hearing on the above matter was held January 11th, 2023 at 7 o'clock. This, and now is continued to this evening. All interested persons are requested to be present. Contact Conservation at 508-660-7255.
So, Mr. Chairman, from John Glosser, Glosser Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole, and I'm representing Dr. Poopy, who is a sort of canine neurologist, management doctor. So she currently occupies, and I'm just going to do this quickly because this is a continued hearing, but she currently occupies this building here. So this was the Fox Hill, the driving range at one time, going back to about 1992. She bought it in 2013. The building inspector, because of the nature of her work or her business, allowed her to move into there without, any other regulatory permits being required. So she moved in there. I can just show you what she essentially ended up purchasing. This building here, parking area here that extends all the way down a little bit into Foxborough here. The driving bays are here, and then there's a sort of a plaza in between the building and the driving bays. But she doesn't run the hitting range anymore, or she never ran it. She simply runs basically a canine neurology and pain management office, veterinary office. She doesn't, people are referred to her by their veterinarians. She doesn't, take just someone who's sort of walking in off the street. They don't groom dogs or anything like that. It's pretty much a limited business. But she's going to expand it from herself, one doctor, and they're going to add 6 doctors, and so there'll be a total of 7 doctors. So I did, Betsy, by the way, talk to the architect who does a lot of these types, or a lot of these facilities, and he said 100 spaces is what they need. So he said between the doctors, the staff, and the patients coming and going and the overlap, that they need 100 parking spaces. So I may have shocked you a little bit when I said it was the investors, but the investors are in the same business also. They own more than just this one location. So we went over the letter from the town engineer, and that's the plans you see have been revised to meet all the town engineer comments. I went through all of the requirements in the stormwater management regulation, as Landis asked me to do, and provided a letter showing how we comply with all of those. And so the biggest change is that in our original design, again, we're going to capture all the water in catch basins and run it through storm scepters and then discharge it back into the ground. And we have a very sandy soil here, so this is, a fairly simple design. It's not inexpensive, but it's really simple for us. But there was, there's a catch basin or a couple of catch basins here that connect into a manhole. Actually, this is a dry well, and one of the catch basins actually is a dry well, and then it connects out into the drainage system in Fox Hill. So both Landis and the town engineer asked me why we weren't showing some sort of infiltration at that point right there. So we added a storm septic catch basin, a drain manhole, which will put the first inch of water from this bit of pavement here into the ground, and then any other water, any other storm water will then run off and go back to where it goes now, right? So we're gonna sort of have an inlet into that manhole, an outlet into that manhole, into the infiltration basin, but the other outlet is set higher, so when the water fills up in the infiltration basin, when the infiltration basin can't take that water anymore, it will run out. It'll take more than an inch, because we're not calculating in how much water is gonna actually discharge out of the infiltration basin while it's filling. It's just a little bit of work for, that I don't think really needs to be done, because we already meet the requirements of meeting the pre and the post. And then the other thing is, and I brought the drainage calculations if you want me to actually spout all the numbers, but this site, up to and including the 100-year storm, puts the same amount of volume of runoff back into the ground as it does in the existing condition. And it's actually puts a lot more in most of the storms. We kind of did that because, for two reasons. First of all, when you have a lot of good sand, that's kind of what happens, because you have to match the rates, which kind of drives the size of these things, and then it just ends up that a lot of it goes into the ground. And secondly, though, we knew that because we're in Water Resource Overlay Protection District 3, we knew the planning board would be looking for that, for the volume to be, all of the volume to be put back into the ground. So that's what we did. That's really the change. There are other changes were very minor, things that Carl wanted. On the construction plan, we show, a place where we're saying a sedimentation basin can be constructed. I'm not really all that concerned here. I mean, we'll have them put it in here, but, another part to this is they've already picked their contractor, and it's somebody who builds these things kind of for a living. They build these hospital-type buildings, so. And they're very familiar. When I talked to them, they were very familiar with what I was telling them. The other thing is, our hope is that they would pave this early in the construction, because we find that works out a lot better than trying to work in the mud and whatever that might be generated. So they're going to look at that, but our construction sequencing does call out for them to pave this early in the process. So put in the underground utilities, put in a binder course of pavement, and then build the building. And then the other question from the planning board was, how are they going to do that? Well, they're going to Dr. Kuby's going to maintain her practice here, and so she'll be accessing and using this, and then the builder is going to be accessing here, and then constructing from this direction. And then once this is built, they'll move into here, and then they're going to rehab the existing building. So that's sort of where I'm at. I think we meet the regulation. I think we probably meet it and a little more. So I can answer any questions you might have about this.
Landis?
I don't have any additional comments.
Dean?
No questions, thank you.
No questions, thank you.
I have a question. They're going to be handling a lot more pet dogs. What do they do with the
the dog waste.
So this, it's not a kennel, so it's very rare that these dogs come in and have to poop somewhere. So but they pick it up and get rid of it, so she packages it up and probably puts it in the trash. But this isn't, it's not a kennel. They only have, each doctor only does 4 procedures a day, so it's not like a kennel, and they're not like, it's more of, muscular, skeletal type of problems, neurological problems. I mean, I know a friend of mine, when his dog got older, the dog started on his rear legs, walking on his toes. It's things like that they work on. So they're not working on stomachs and that sort of stuff, so.
Okay. All set.
I have no comment.
Only question I have is this new large addition on a slab or a basement?
It's a slab, there's no basement under that. There is a basement under the existing building, there's no basement under that.
What do you have for any additional comments, Landis?
I didn't have any additional conditions other than just the standard ones that we put in.
Okay. I'll accept a motion to close the hearing.
I'll move that.
I will second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And standard order of conditions, Landis, with any conditions?
Yep, I didn't have anything to add, just the standard, it's just a land disturbance permit, so.
Okay.
Land disturbance permit. That's it.
So that's it. Okay.
You voted to issue two? Both? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Did we?
All right.
We voted to close
FC
the
and Emilio. Just do it.
We did?
Vote to issue.
Oh, okay, I moved that.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I didn't remember we had done it, so that's, yeah.
And we voted to close the hearing and not to.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
You.
Okay, we have another 2 minutes. Just whipping through these here, public hearings, guys are. Um,
Vegetation.
So the commission received a correspondence from Eversource that Eversource Energy right-of-way predictive management activities is going to be occurring along the row 4A west,
Right of way.
right-of-way, yes, which is
I know that.
right there.
On the back.
Where they go in and cut most of the vegetation down.
Say it again?
Which they go in and cut most of the vegetation down, at least they have the past few years. They didn't used to, but now they do,
Yeah, well, we have, Eversource has the new management in that department, and it is, we have to exercise and utilize our entire easement, you know?
but I think when they started doing it, I think they were blaming it on Homeland Security, that they now needed to
Yeah, they
get
want
rid
to
of
see,
most of the
see
vegetation so
through
they can see
just
everything,
the-
yeah, yeah.
sitting out on the road and looking
I
at
think
it.
there was like, some of it fell into an overgrowth kind of scenario, and then new management came in and said, you know, we really need to protect all of these assets.
At least I'm not blaming it on
The trees,
Yeah.
the tree stays in the trees, yeah.
I'll tell you, when they first started to really go out there and take most of the stuff down, it was very shocking. Anyways.
Oh, yeah. Shit a lot.
Okay, so now we have the Washington Street, 132, 136 Washington Street. So this is a notice of intent in accordance with the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Wetlands Protection Act and Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice is hereby given of the intent of Thomas Powers to perform work associated with redevelopment of the site for the proposed mixed-use building and appurtenance at 132, 136, 140 Washington Street, map 20, lot 32 in Walpole, Mass. The notice of intent application and plans are on file with the Conservation Commission office. The public hearing on the above matter was held on December 14th, 2022, beginning at 8 p.m. It is now open again. All interested persons are requested to be present. Contact Conservation if you have questions. John Wiley, Chairman, Walpole Conservation Commission. And Vice Chair, they have requested a continuance. I don't see the letter, but the American of Legacy Engineering is requesting continuance because he has to work on some of the information that was requested by DEP and has to do with the riverfront area, and that's gonna take until the next meeting. So the next meeting is February 8th. So there's nothing scheduled yet on February 8th, so you could schedule it at 7 p.m. if you wish.
I'll move that, 7 PM.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Okay, great. So the clock tower at Washington Street, notice of intent will be continued to 7 p.m. on February 8th.
All right. Yep.
Okay, great. Put these away.
It's not showing up as address.
Probably not.
Something useful.
Okay. So the next line of business is the notice of non-compliance for Peach Street. So do you want me to kind of explain what's
Yeah,
happening?
please
Okay.
do.
So, off of Peach Street, there's a subdivision called New World,
States?
subdivision estates that came in for a permit, received a land disturbance permit and a determination because the work associated with the road and the stormwater system might have been notice intent, I can't remember, but anyways, it was just a determination. Didn't fall within the jurisdiction, but there is an isolated wetlands that was located to the rear of 14 and 24 Peach Street, which is jurisdictional under the bylaw, so the lot closest to that wetlands did fall within the buffer zone and required a filing of a notice of intent under the bylaw. At some point in December, I believe, the lot was cleared of trees and vegetation, and then they continued to clear off the property line, but in the buffer zone on 14 Peach Street and 24 Peach Street. So when I came back from being out, I issued a notice of non-compliance to the owner of the subdivision property that he should come in, and he's here now, to discuss with the commission the violation of removing trees and vegetations within the buffer zone without filing with the Conservation Commission, and also to work with the adjacent property owners at 14 Peach Street and 24 Peach Street, since we need their cooperation to do any kind of mitigation. So Dan Merrickin did submit a plan of a proposed mitigation for the site, and he wasn't able to come tonight, I think.
Correct.
Okay, if you want to introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Andrew Adams. I'm the developer at new subdivision over at Litchfields Way. Yeah, Dan had some other stuff going on tonight, I guess, so.
So he's not working tonight? So I don't, Dan just sent me a digital copy of the proposed restoration plan. You don't have any additional copies of it?
He gave me a copy, and then I think he took it back. Yeah, this isn't it.
Want to just maybe describe to the commissioners what's on the restoration plan?
Sure, so, basically, obviously, I cut down some trees I wasn't supposed to. I went out there and, took a look at the stakes that were back there. I was eager to get the lot cleared. There was a lot of logistics in the background with the recording of the new lot from 24 Peach Street to obtaining the bond and whatnot. So I was in a little bit of a rush. It was a mistake of mine. I jumped the gun, cut down some trees without giving you guys a heads up on that with a notice of intent, so I can own up to that. As far as like clearing towards the buffer zone and stuff like that, I was just misread some stakes back there. It was an honest mistake. I haven't been able to connect with the neighbors at 14 Beach Street yet. The plan just came out yesterday, but basically we're, Dan Merrickin came up with a plan, my engineer, to kind of replant 8 to 10 trees within that 100-foot buffer, as well as I think some blueberry trees, kind of replant back there. We talked to Landis about it a little bit, but
Sure they're not too happy.
we also, we put erosion controls all back there, all the way up the line on the neighbors and butters line as well, to kind of protect the wetland for right now. We installed all erosion controls around all the detention ponds. So we're really trying to just use more precaution back there right now to protect everything. Think you'd be able to get it up on the TV?
Yeah, I uploaded the digital copies so we could show them on the screen, but I guess we're having problems with that. But, so I passed
Wait a
around.
minute, is this relevant? Is this relevant?
So I passed around pictures and then the
Oh.
plan. Yeah, so this is the end of Peach Street. This is the isolated wetlands. This is the detention basin. Yeah, you can bring it up and kind of show.
That's okay, but. So we're talking about this area back here. Basically, my lot goes like this. Encompasses, like, you can kind of see this kind of house right here. This is like a temporary location. So what happened was, I went this way. Kind of see Dan's line like that. And I kind of cleared all up in here. And I think the 100-foot buffer is like, you can kind of see this line here. So Dan's proposing for me to come back in here and kind of plant 8 to 10 trees up in this area and here, and some more blueberry bushes down in this area, which is within the buffer zone. It was probably, honestly, there was like one really dead tree within the 25 feet that got stumped out of there, and then more of the other trees were all over this way.
What were those trees?
What's that?
What were those trees? Were
I
they
think
pines,
they
were
were
they
just- They were
oaks?
just pines up there.
How many?
There was probably 8 trees up here. Yep. A lot of this brush along this line was just really just nasty brush, but there was like one tree right there that was split in half that I took out. Again, I thought these stakes went like this. There was another stake up here. There was nothing on this line. So I don't know if it got taken out of there and I misread that.
So who owns this?
So I believe, the name is Holly and Brian.
So if I
Brian
could,
Holly
once you're kind of done briefing them, the owners of
You guys wanna-
14 Beach Street are here tonight. You can speak. If they want to say something. Say something, or?
I didn't see the plan, sorry. I know you swung by the house, I was working.
Yeah, I know we
and-
haven't been able to
yeah,
connect
we haven't
yet,
been able to
so
connect,
we're
so I
busy.
haven't seen the
Okay.
full plan.
If you have something to say to the commission,
Oh, yeah.
talk to the commission.
I think I get
introduce
accidents.
yourself.
Oh, I'm Holly Dalton, I live at 14 Peach Street. It like came to my attention after the production started that potentially there was trees involved in property that was, like trees that were taken down. So I printed out, we came to the town hall to get like the town meeting, and then I had somebody, Chris, I think his name was, just to like make sure.
From engineering.
Yeah, because we had like the stakes set up, which I get, it wasn't the metal stakes, it was more the, you know, the stakes in the ground, yeah. That there was like trees that were taken down, so it kind of went from there. And I think the only thing that definitely does change is the amount of trees that were taken down that affects it's a high water table as it is. And it's unfortunate that our house doesn't have like a full basement. So like the trees being taken up, it affects now like with the drain that kind of like trends downward towards the conservation area in our backyard. It does make me worried because we do have kind of like a stream that accumulates, especially in the spring. Just like the amount of water we'll get now increased in our property that we're not like fully prepared for. Like it's not like I have French drains put in place around the property to ensure that if the water potentially increases with the lack of trees gone, that now this could affect everything. That's the only thing. And the fact that it provided like a buffer for our neighbors, us, everybody. Those are my 2 cents, really.
So, Commissioners, in the notice of noncompliance, what I tried to spell out was, one, that there was a violation because there was activity in the buffer zone without a notice of intent, and that the activity occurred on someone else's property, so Mr. Adams needed to work with the property owners to come up with a plan that they were happy with, because the plantings were going to be occurring on their property, and also the commission would be happy with as mitigation to this area, which trees were cut down. And I realized that it's an isolated wetland, it's not the best isolated wetland, so my message to Dan American, who was putting together the plan, was I thought quality of the vegetation was better than quantity. So, you know, it didn't have to be a lot of trees, but a few trees that could maybe grow into nice-sized trees, and some shrubs that would be benefit for the area. So I would still recommend to the commission that they let the owner, Mr. Adams, know that he still needs to work with both property owners and get their agreement for the restoration plan, and then come back to the commission to have the commission approve the plan. Does that make sense?
So we'll see a plan, an actual,
Yeah, so we have a start of a plan, but you know, we had a digital plan sent to me and then one copy there, so I think you need to talk to both property owners and make sure that they're happy with the restoration plan, and then the commission
I
can
agree.
approve it.
I agree.
Is there a way to confirm that the property owners are satisfied with the plan? How do you do that?
Well, they should include you should include a letter or email to the commission that you're happy with.
Yeah, once we talk about it, I'm sure Dan will draft something up and I'll get some type of consent, you know, as long as
Yeah.
we can do that.
Okay, so I think it is important, so when Linda said quality, big enough trees that it's not the usual thing where you put in a little maple sapling and you figure in about 20 years it will look good. I mean, more expensive, larger trees that are harder to put in because they've got a giant root ball and a huge hole. Something substantial, and then some sort of a plan to make sure they took. so they can't be just put in at any old time of the year, and make sure they take. And then I get worried when I see clear cutting like that, because that's just an invitation to invasive species. In no time at all, you've got Japanese knotweed, and you've got bittersweet coming up, and all kinds of stuff. So I'd like to see when, I guess is it Dan that's coming up with this?
Yes.
That Dan not only put in trees of quality and size, but that there be some kind of monitoring for not making it an invitation to bittersweet. Because as soon as they see that light and a little bit of extra moisture, in no time at all, you've got a forest. We've seen it around town. In no time at all, you've got a forest of invasives back there, which is not good for anybody.
Some type of monitoring of those?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I think so, because
Okay,
it's a fairly substantial thing. We don't actually see it too often where people not only cut down in the buffer zone, but they also cut down in the neighbor's buffer zone. I was thinking about it tonight, it's like, I wouldn't be all that happy if I were one of the neighbors. I mean, I think it's gotta be a fairly substantial planting plan, that makes this better.
Betsy, if you don't mind me asking, is there a specific caliber?
I don't know if there's a specific caliber, but if Dan watches this tonight, I think Dan might know what I'm talking about. In other words, you can stick a little sapling in that's about yay thick, you know.
And the deer eat it before it has a chance to grow.
Yeah.
So I asked that just because.
Yeah.
On planning board plans, for example, when they put in a subdivision, they have covenants that they require 2 4 to 6 caliber trees, like, so that's.
Okay, Al, what do you think of that?
Well, I think that we need more than just Dan. Dan is not a botanist or a landscaper or any one of those type.
So you think you need Russ Waldron or something?
So he should have to get somebody that is good at restoration besides just planting just any old thing there.
Yeah.
So it does say on the plan, that we don't all have, because it wasn't given to us, there is a caliper and then there's a type. If you look at your plan, or you want to bring it up.
This
to
isn't the
me?
right plan.
Oh, this isn't right, okay.
This isn't the digital copy plan.
All right, so, yeah.
So this is minimum 1 to 5 inch caliber consisting of red maple.
So that's not enough. There
No,
should be
no.
at least
One-
2 to 3 or 4
Yeah.
caliper in size.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. I'm fine with that.
okay. And the concern about making an invitation to, I mean, when you see bare ground like that, you've got invasives coming in fast. So some sort of monitoring and control of that as well.
Okay.
Okay, now, I have been listening here, and I haven't heard anybody say anything about the legality of going onto somebody else's land and clearing it. First of all, we don't like complete clearing of any parcel, and this is beyond what we would normally approve of. But there's an invitation here for somebody to be suing somebody, and I don't want the commission to be liable for any one of these kind of situations. So I want to make sure that the person that did this and the owners of the property have come to some kind of a resolution that, so that everybody's happy and we don't wake up some morning in a month or two that somebody's suing somebody else. So I want to see that that kind of thing is resolved right up front here. And
So that's the direction that was given in the notice of noncompliance.
yeah.
The homeowners of 24, I spoke to him on the phone, and 14, they're here tonight. And so the direction is that the commission can't tell Mr. Adams to plant plants on someone else's property, that he has to get permission to do so, and you have to document that permission and give it to the commission. So there's sort of two things going on here. One is restoration, one is private property rights.
I understand.
That was addressed, just,
Okay,
that
so,
has definitely been.
so that's, I'm concerned about that is equal to the restoration. The restoration in itself, it's almost impossible to, you know, what was growing there probably took many decades to get there, and we're not going to be able to replace it in one growing season. So I want to make sure that everybody's happy here and that this doesn't go beyond this. And I don't know how a landscaping company or a tree cutting company can stay in business if this is how they do business. So you ought to make sure that they're involved in this.
Yes, sir.
Just so I'm clear, it seems that the wetland boundary markers weren't visible enough or in the right locations for you to identify where the wetland boundary was, correct?
Correct.
Would it make sense then to remark them and/or put up some plaques, since
They have been remarked.
they have been remarked?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Would plaques,
Well, the plaques
something
are
that-
only good if there's somebody there to see them, but it doesn't look like that parcel is occupied at this point.
okay.
So that particular lot, I think it's lot 4, so lot.
Correct.
They have to file a separate notice of intent for the construction of the house.
Okay, so that'll be separate then.
Yeah.
At that point, we'd address that.
And they couldn't do that for tonight's meeting, but they'll do it, I think, for either the first or the second meeting in February.
Okay.
They were told they need to do it now, not to wait.
Just seemed that there was like some confusion of where it started, and sometimes plaques
I
help
think
with that confusion. so.
the property line seemed to be the confusion because it went this way and then it went off
Gotcha.
kind of at an angle, and that,
Okay.
the tree cutter, I guess, thought it went straight. I don't know exactly what happened, but it wasn't, the property boundary wasn't defined quite well.
Thank you, thank you.
Anybody else? I guess we can call it a night.
So hopefully by February 8th, you'll have an agreed-upon plan, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like I said, Dan, you know, that digital plan came out yesterday.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get in touch with
Okay.
with the client, and I'm sure we'll be able to work something out, I hope. So I don't think that should be an issue. Everything I've heard from you guys, the caliber, the monitoring, I don't mind doing all that. It's fine.
And
I agree, something should be put back there.
So they're coming back February 8th then? Because I'm thinking the other little issue that comes up is if this gets delayed too much, then suddenly we're not in the planting season. I know we're still in January, but, I mean, you know, so you're coming back February 8th with a planting plan.
Yes.
Do
Okay.
you have any other questions, or?
No, I think we can be in touch about the plans and then
Yeah, we can
meet
talk.
on the 8th, or if I need to be here. I'm usually here for this. This is something I come here for.
Yeah, you should probably come back.
Okay,
Like I said, we just need to talk a little bit.
okay,
If you have any questions, you can always give me a call too.
okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll see you back on the 8th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys did the extension, there, do we? Okay, no minutes. I think that's everything.
The minutes.
Want to close the hearing?
And anybody else have anything to,
Enforcement orders, no changes on the enforcement orders, huh?
So there's no change in Main Street. I'm still getting people come in and inquiring about purchasing that property. And then Burns Ave, we were waiting for the erosion control report, which I did receive on Monday. That it's
From whom?
Really?
from Wall Street Development in New Jersey.
There are rainbows and pots of gold?
Well, several months late, but besides that, it did come in. That's it.
Excellent. All right.
All right, I
Okay.
move to adjourn.
second? All in favor?
Let's keep it open.
Aye.
Aye.